This is a 1956 Panhead. It's an FLE. This is probably the most important bike in the world to me, simply because of who owned it. This man right here. This was my Uncle Rich. Rich was a pivotal person in my life and very deeply shaped who I am today. Him, along with his wife, my mother's sister Mary, really just poured love and care into my life for years, and Mary's still here doing that today. But Rich, man, I don't even know where to start with the man. He was a man of many talents, many interests, and had a huge wanderlust and a huge just zest for life. He just loved living. He had a little basement shop at his house there in Connecticut where he would work on his own Harleys and other people's bikes. And I spent a lot of time with him as a kid and then as a teenager and into my 20s, just learning from him and hanging out with him and taking pictures down in his shop. And Rich encouraged this. He appreciated art and he thought it was cool that I was into photography and encouraged me to pursue things other than just work. And when I would be interested in something, he would listen. Like Volkswagens. When I started drag racing Volkswagens, Rich got interested in that. He would do research about them and send me articles about them and give me contact information to people with Volkswagens in Connecticut. And we ended up doing a Corvair-powered Volkswagen together. And even though we lived almost 900 miles away from each other, he was still a constant person in my life. And I got up to Connecticut as much as I could to spend time with him. In many ways, Rich was more of a father to me than my own dad was, and I asked him to be the best man in my wedding when I got married 11 years ago. So now that you know all of my history with the man, let's talk about the history with the bike. Like I said at the start of the video, this is a 56 FLE. Rich bought this bike in the late 60s for a whopping $200 and owned it for almost 50 years till his death in 2016. It went through a lot of changes in that time. We have it here as kind of like this cool, like early 70s chopper with a extended Springer front end and no front brakes and the tall sissy bar. Then eventually he'd put some brakes on that Springer, and there's one picture of it with a narrow glide front end. Don't know how long that lasted, but several pictures at least with this wide glide front end and drum brake on the front. Rich was always tinkering and always working and always changing things, much like I am. And eventually this bike got tore down in the basement and built back up into a pan shovel. He kept FX style front end on it for a while, and then eventually it got the Springer front end that's still on it today. And that's basically how I remember this bike. Red and black, Springer front end, one of my favorite people in the entire world sitting on top of it. I went to visit my family in Connecticut back in May, and the bike was basically as you see it in this picture. No rear wheel. So I spent a little bit of time getting it to where it could at least be rolled around. At this point in time, Mary told me that she wanted me to get it to where it could be pushed onto a trailer so she could bring it down to me. That way I could fix the bike up, and she told me that she was wanting to sell it. The last time I had worked on this bike before this was December of 2013. Rich and I had started the top end that's currently on this bike, as well as the cam and the lifters. And so I got the bike to a roller status, and then a few months later, Mary loaded it up into the back of this rented Sprinter van and came down the East Coast with it to my house here in South Carolina. Mary stopped along the way in Virginia and grabbed her brother John and brought him with me. And my mom came up from her house outside of Columbia. And with all of us together, we spent some time just taking the blankets off of the 56 and sorting through all the parts and getting everything unloaded. Mary brought a ton of parts and supplies and such out of Rich's old shop, and it was just kind of a flurry of activity there in my backyard for a half an hour or so as friends and family and neighbors all came together to help me with this thing. It's Kenny and me and my neighbor Matt, who's a great buddy of mine, my Uncle John, my mom, my wife Tiffany, and we got everything unloaded. I also got to say thanks to some of Mary and Rich's friends who sent some parts down to me all the way from Connecticut, which was very kind. And then Matt and I took the bike out of the van. It was kind of an adventure. You see we got the thing stuck on the frame. This bike sits pretty low, but thankfully it's not really heavy, so Matt and I were able to just kind of pick it up and scooch it along until we had it to where it would roll, and then out of the van it went.
Might be there. Yeah. All right, I'm letting go.
We got it. Matt and I pushed it into my little bike shed there. Side note, I love all the laughter in the audio on this clip. And that's just kind of where it sat for a few weeks. I would go out and sit with it in the evenings and look at it and spend a bunch of time sorting through all the parts and some of Rich's paperwork. I said earlier in this video that Mary had brought me this bike under the pretenses of paying me to fix it up so she could sell it. And my plan was to sell a car that I have in order to buy this thing from her. But the day she dropped it off, after kind of everything had settled down and it was just the two of us out there, she went and got some paperwork out of the glove box of the van and handed it to me. It was a signed Connecticut bill of sale and a signed registration, already in my name. She said, "It's yours now. This is where it belongs." And I was pretty emotional that day, and I'm still emotional now. This is like my 5th take recording this audio. You can probably hear it in my voice. So I just needed some time before I shared it here on YouTube with y'all. Well, let's talk about the bike as it sits today in my care. It's back to a Panhead, but this is not any ordinary Panhead. Rich had some pretty slick stuff he was doing with this before he passed away, and I'm excited to finish it. Has STD cylinder heads. These are really good heads, probably some of the best ones ever made for a pan. These use the shovel head style intake manifold, which is a whole lot better than the backwards Panhead intake flow through the heads. These are also dual plugged heads, though. Currently one plug hole is plugged off, as well as external oilers and the 3-bolt exhaust flange. Has 80 cubic inch shovel head cylinders, and just to double check this, I was pretty sure about this, but I did double check this with the brass rod. This is a 4 1/4 stroke engine, so this is an 80 cubic inch Panhead with the STD heads. I don't remember what Cam, Rich, and I put in it, but I probably could figure that out because I'm most likely going to end up pulling the lifter blocks out. These are Jim's lifters. I think they're the short travel hydraulics, but I'm going to pull it just to be sure. Ignition is with a Mallory distributor. Again, some more upgrades. Rich was always kind of, upgrading stuff. He was not a purist. He was not afraid to change things. The primary side of things, this is kick and electric start. I've got a tin primary cover on it right now, but I do have a shiny shovel head style one. I'll probably run the tin one because I like the looks of it, honestly. And then finally, we have mousetrap clutch going on. That takes care of the left side of the bike. The front end of the bike, obviously, is a Springer. I'm really excited about this. I think this thing looks great on this bike. I think it's like a 90s soft tail Springer. At least that's what it looks like to me. Currently, it has a 16-inch front wheel on it. Rich was setting this thing up for sidecar duty. But I'm not crazy about the 16-inch front wheel, so I'm going to find a 21-inch front chrome spoked wheel for this. In fact, I've already ordered tires for this bike. I think the 21-inch wheel is a little more my style. On the back, juice drum. Like I said earlier, I just kind of cobbled this together to make it rollable. To get it to me, that'll be one of the first things that I fix. And then probably the biggest part of this bike that's going to take the most time is wiring. But I enjoy electrical work, and I'll clean all this up. This really won't take me too long, and electrical stuff is pretty relaxing for me. So there's the bike. I'm just going to use the same clip from the start of this video because I like this clip a lot. Get some time to look at this beautiful motorcycle, and I'm just so happy and proud and grateful and thankful that this thing is here with me. So what are my plans for this thing? Well, I'm going to do exactly what Rich would have done. I'm going to fix it up, get it running and riding, make a few changes to it, make it my own a little bit. And then I'm just going to go enjoy it. I'm going to wander. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to go places with my friends and do things that I'll remember and talk about, because that's exactly what he would have done. I'm going to go places with the people that I care about and the people who love me and the people that I love. Rich was always chasing that horizon, and I'm grateful that I get to give the 56 some more years doing exactly that. And I'm pretty happy that I get to be the person writing the next chapter in this bike story. And it's pretty cool too that I get to be able to share it here with all of y'all. Thanks for watching.